Hey guys, welcome to the Troy Gramling podcast. It's so good to see you today. Thanks so much for listening or watching. We're on YouTube if you want to see the video, or all the other platforms as well. And we're just talking about everyday leadership. And a lot of times we miss out on the leaders God puts right around us, and a lot of them have success in different parts and different areas of life. And so we wanted to take a few weeks and just talk to a whole bunch of different people. So we've talked to entrepreneurs, we've talked to moms, we've talked to small business owners, teachers, just all kinds of people who lead every day just like the rest of us. And today is no exception. We've got some very special guests with us. And so let's make welcome Ron and Jay. Good to have you guys.
Thank you for having us.
No, it's an honor to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll start right there.
Perfect.
Oh, a little bit. Let's see. How did we meet? First of all, I believe it was a story of destiny, right? Before we met God, we met each other in some place where, may not be the most godly place. It was in a nightclub, South Beach, 3 a.m. in the morning. It was destiny.
So what was the name of the club?
Wow.
State.
Well, yes, it was Club State. If you're really taking us back there. Now, if you were going to look it up, we're going to age ourselves. Yes, Club State off of Lincoln Road.
Oh.
Yes, sir. It was 3 a.m. in the morning.
I was in town from the Bronx, and
Oh, so you didn't even live here?
I didn't even live here.
No.
No. We met that night. 6 months later, you moved to the Bronx?
Yes,
Wow.
some say for you, but I say mainly you, and partly some love for New York City, but it was mainly you. And 10 years later, you came back to my home, Florida. So that was definitely our
first.
first.
Did you approach her, or she approach you?
I approached her. She kind of turned me down at first. She gave me the side eye. I went for it. I saw something that grabbed my interest, and I reached out for it. But immediately, being the New Yorker she was, she kind of looked me away, walked around the club. But I think she noticed that.
I was like, oh, he's really cute. I'm gonna not be too obvious, but I'll make my way back over.
Yeah. So but if I never.
And he tried again.
Yeah, for sure. But I took the first reach. If I never took that reach, we wouldn't be here today.
16 years later.
16 years later, yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes.
so you were living in Brooklyn? Where was it?
The Bronx.
The Bronx.
Born and raised in the Bronx, and was just down there for a meeting that got canceled. And so we met, and I was like, oh, that was all God right there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
So you met, and then you ended up in the Bronx. Is that where it went?
I moved. I told my dad, "Hey, Dad, I'm thinking about moving to New York," and he was like,
Why?
Coming. Yeah. So, but my dad had the intuition, and he was eventually found out. Okay, it's a woman, and he knew, he had a feeling. It's a French word. He said, "You've met." Tu as pris ta blonde. You met your blonde. It's a saying. It means you met your wisdom. So you met the woman that's going to take you to wisdom, and it's a whole cultural Haitian saying. And he's right. She definitely made me a wiser man, grow, and mainly was getting to know God closer through her, and God used her to reach me. I grew up Catholic, and I was out on my own. I wasn't really going to church that much, and I thought I was a good person. I don't steal, I don't murder, I'm good enough, but I never had that close relationship with God where I felt like every day he was part of my life. And he reached her mainly first, and then she just kept begging me, come to church with me, this and that, come. This was in the Bronx, and we went to old school Pentecostal, fired up type of church. And that moment when you step in those doors, there's no way to not feel the Holy Spirit. And God used her to reach me back to him. And from there, I just never stopped that yearning to chase him, to see him. So it definitely
chase him together.
Yes, now we chase him together through fitness. Through leading people first through their bodies, but connecting it all. It's all connected at the end of the day. Our bodies, our mind, our spirit, it's all connected. Everything's all connected. And
to God.
Yeah, to God. And I believe our past, God is using that to reach others who still may feel the need to find something bigger in their lives, and we could relate because we've been there.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me get back to that in just a moment. So you mentioned Haiti.
Yes,
so
sir.
Is that your heritage?
Yes, sir.
Now, were you born there, or?
I was born in New York, actually. So this thing that us Haitians do. We come over, we have our kids here, and then we take them back to raise them so they know the culture, but they know opportunity. This is the land of opportunity. So we would come to have the birthrights of America, to have, if that time comes, when that time comes,
right.
It's a way of thinking, because Haiti is a beautiful country, but unfortunately, as far as opportunity in the long run, there's more opportunity here, obviously.
Right,
This is
right.
the great land of America, the land of opportunity. So I was born here in Queens, New York, left when I was like 1 year old, and I was raised in Haiti from 1 till 10. So French and Creole were my first language. And I'm grateful that I had that experience, because it really kept me grounded to see what a different life is, as far as not having the basic necessities that we have here, that we take advantage of here in the States, that we can take advantage of. But that's my background, it's my roots. I'm a firstborn generation American. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes,
So
sir.
now you still have family in Haiti?
I do. I have a lot of family in Haiti, and some of them had tried to make the transition to come live in the States, but there's a certain point in age, whereas if you don't move early enough, it's harder to conform and learn a new culture, learn a new language. So
Right.
it's either you try, you can make it, and then they miss their country, and then they end up going back. But yeah, I haven't been in a while. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of unrest.
Right.
It's seasonal. There's always unrest. A couple of years ago, the president was assassinated. So it's all around the world.
Right.
There's suffering. There's oppression all around the world. Not just particular to Haiti, but that's my roots, and I'm grateful that.
Jay, have you been over there?
She's
Not
no, she's
yet.
not. She's not afraid. No, she's not.
It's just a hop and a skip
I
jump
know.
from here.
I know.
I know.
Yeah, and unfortunately, she's kind of a little intimidated.
You know, the first step is you just need to go on a cruise, because what's the name of that?
Labadie. Yeah,
Yes,
the island.
yes,
Yes,
which
yes.
is part of,
Yeah.
it's Haiti, but not Haiti
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah, for sure, for
You know,
sure.
so it'd be your first step.
Yeah, for sure. Have you been?
Yeah, well, I've been to
Labadie. Well, I got to take you to the country then.
I was trying to think. I might have been to Haiti once years ago after, because they've been so much tragedy and then
The earthquake.
corruption in the leadership,
Yeah. Yes,
know, and that hurts the people,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
sadly, because people are people,
Yes,
you know
sir.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And the natural disasters, and then between that and then corrupt leadership just makes it a difficult place for
sure. I pray for it,
for your
sure.
people. So
For
yeah,
for sure,
So-
for sure. Yeah.
So anyway, so you great to and great to see where people have come from, because we all
Sure.
we see success and then we tend to think that, well, it's because they had something we didn't have. Where in reality we've all got different challenges, but everybody has a challenge that is really not an obstacle. I always look at it as more of what God uses to make us into the people who can succeed, or at least
sir.
enjoy success.
Yes,
so,
sir.
so you guys came back from New York, back to South Florida, and tell us, I know you're into fitness, but what does that mean when it comes, first of all, just to business? What is it that you do?
Yeah.
Sure. So I'm 44. And
You heard the 4?
since I was 17, I've been choreographer, and I used to work out and play basketball every day since I was 12, and I've always loved sports and activities. And so finally, like when I was a little bit older, my friend told me, one of my fellow dancers, she said, Jay, you should just go into fitness. And I remember saying, like, what does that mean? You can't survive off of like training people. And then the more I started to navigate and realize, like, my gosh, like people really need, the education behind it, how to train properly, how to keep themselves safe. And then depending on what they do, there's a different focus that you can pour into them with. So I remember the biggest thing where we opened our first location, which was called J Faith Fitness in the Bronx. And
Now slow down, say that again. It was called what?
J Faith Fitness.
J
Faith
Fitness. And so you guys opened that up in the Bronx before coming here.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yeah.
All right.
And so my name means I have faith. J Faith Fitness.
Yeah.
So that's a subliminal.
Yeah, it's a combination
Message.
of French adjective in French. J'en ai, I have, and then Faith. I said, "Oh, your name is." She was already J. I was like, "Wait a minute." And then it's Faith. I'm like, "This is crazy. It's got to get together." So,
So we opened, we opened our first space then. That was like 12 years ago after Mateo was like born. And I had something called preeclampsia, where it's like your blood pressure spikes during pregnancy. And so I ended up hospitalized there, and the doctor said something along the lines of, he said, it's really interesting. I said, how did this happen? Where did this come from? He said, well, the Bronx has one of the highest rates of preeclampsia in pregnancies,
Wow.
which I didn't know. And I kind of asked, I said, well, why? And he was just like, nutrition, some say environmental, but mainly a lot of, not eating properly. And so what I come to find out, and we said, wow, we got to do something here. We have to figure out a way to make it affordable to have licensed trainers educate and train people in the total picture of what does it mean to be healthy? And that's from the inside out. What are we putting in our system? Yeah. So we ended up having J-Faith Fitness connected with a restaurant that was healthy eating.
Yeah.
And that was...
So you had a restaurant. You connected with the restaurant, or you guys owned the restaurant?
No,
we connected with the restaurant.
Back space.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we were in the back door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small, tiny.
Yeah.
Probably the size of this room.
Yeah.
But we saw a lot of people, and we
Helped
changed lives.
A lot
We definitely
of
changed
people.
lives.
We've had retired officers that were in the buildings in 9/11 where their doctors would say, like, your lung capacity would never be the same. And then they would be floored by how through exercising, eating clean, would, change their life. We've had people that have lost from 5 pounds to 99 pounds. A father who was raising 3 kids, his wife had passed away with cancer, and he said, I don't want to leave my kids. I have to change my life. So from there, we just fell in love with it, and then we ended up moving down here to Florida.
So now, for those of us that are watching or listening today, so was it more like CrossFit training? Is it more like weightlift training? Is it something different, or all of above? Or what was, at least in the Bronx, what was it that you did? Yeah.
I mean, it was mainly our body weight and small dumbbells. And we had a few equipment, but mainly body weight, learning to control our bodies. I always preach, you have to learn how to just control your body first, how to hold a proper squat, how to just hold a push-up, just controlling and being mindful of our body, because our body is enough to start. It's the bare minimum.
Right.
So especially teaching youth and those who are learning how their bodies, you just have to learn how to master your body and everything, how you sit upright, how you walk. It's all connected. So it's just mainly body weight fitness.
Yeah.
And the bigger you are, the more weight you have to use.
It's true.
Yeah.
So what did you discover? And then we'll come to South Florida. But
sure.
What did you guys discover working with people that, first of all, that it motivates them? What was it? Fear of what could happen if they didn't do something, or the dream of what they could be if they did? What did you find worked the best to keep people motivated the longest to do something positive?
I think mainly the fear. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of people to get to a point of life-threatening situation to really be serious about their health and make a drastic change. And for some of us, it takes a couple times to have that doctor say, hey, you need to really turn it around, or else you're at risk for high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, everything.
Heart issues.
And unfortunately, the amount of people that we saw, it got to that point where this was their last opportunity to make a change in life. So, but unfortunately, it takes us to get to that point of dire, life-threatening situation to make a real change.
And to take it even a step further. So like once we get there and it's like fear, or whatever that motivation is that starts them, usually he always says, you go too deep too quickly. I like to dig in a little more for the breakthrough. What led you here? What happened in your life where, let's say, you started to turn to food for comfort? So we always look at it as a place for, there's an opportunity for breakthrough within these people's lives. And within that, that's when that true breakthrough happens. I look at fitness as an opportunity for breakthrough and connecting, the body of Christ to the body Christ gave them, and to just honor it. So there has to be a little bit breakthrough. Like, how did we get here? In addition to what brought them here.
So did you see when it came to folks there, they come, I guess they buy a group of sessions or something to that effect. What percentage, and I'm not looking for like the exact percentage, but what percentage would normally go beyond, in other words, they would buy into it and it would begin to change?
A lot stood
really
with
grasp
us.
it, you mean, and really make that life?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
A lot stood with us.
A lot did stand with us, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So is
I
it
would
a lot?
say
50%?
75, 80, 75% because we built a community there. So people would actually text each other, "Where are you?
Yeah.
Like, you're not here today." We had a hurricane. What was that hurricane in the Bronx? Where we allowed them to just charge their phones. And so it was just, we became like a community that helped each other.
Yeah.
Because I would think that'd be a high percentage. So people connecting with one another to hold one another accountable.
Yep.
Because I think that's applicable no matter what people might be doing when it comes to leadership, whether it's a family and the family. You know, you're always trying to get your family to do something productive, and or whether it's a business to create a community so as to kind of hold people accountable to do what's right.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a people business at the end of the day. You know, it's equipment, it's exercise, but what really makes the breakthrough, what increases the chances of success, is having that true connection, knowing that people, letting people know that you care for them and that you really want this for them, and like just building that community, like you said.
So what motivated you guys? Like you said, you're just starting, and you're in a small space at the time, and you know, and you're dealing with people who, in some way, are at the end of their rope. So there's, I'm sure you're draining. You're going to give somebody hope that's, you know, maybe lost hope, or is only there because their wife makes them come, or whatever. So what did you guys find was, especially at that beginning stage, was your greatest motivation to stay with it and not, you know, just give up on the whole thing?
Certainly. I would say is when those times where you do feel, as far as that you're tired, you want to give up, and that one person comes to you and says, and shares their testimony with you that, hey man, the 3 months I've been here, I went to my doctor and my numbers have been unbelievable. And at that moment, it's funny. I'm not the type that needs to always need that, but when I'm feeling drained or tired, I get that at that moment, God sends someone to me to give me that word of encouragement that you've made an impact in my life, and I just want to let you that. So hearing that sincerely from someone, I would say that's it. It's right the there. People. It's the people. I say a lot of times, you know, you could make good money, good living, but you don't go into this mainly because you want to make lots of money. You know, I got into real estate, I got into everything under the sun. You name it, but once I understood that this was my calling and my passion, that this is it. This is my calling, my passion. God is going to provide. And it, like she said, it wasn't an industry where you went to school for and thought this is a career, this is a living. It didn't happen like that. Gyms, you know, you didn't have the Instagram influencers that we have now, and all the big things. And fitness industry is a lucrative industry now, but it wasn't always. And it wasn't, you know, I played basketball, I went to school, I studied business because my father was a businessman, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. But I just kept playing sports. I was always in the gym still. And then she was the one who actually, once again, God used her to really open my eyes up to see that this could be something that we do for a living. And once you realize that, you need to have that moment of, people, this is needed. I'm a necessity.
So you found something that matched. In other words, you had this passion, and then discovered a need, and then thought about how to meet the need, and at the same time, you know, provide the resources needed to move forward. So then you moved down here. So
but we missed. We don't want to leave our Mateo, our firstborn. We had our firstborn in the Bronx. So yes, Mateo is a Bronx born.
He's a New Yorker.
He's a New Yorker, and
he reminds us every day.
He reminds me all the time. I love New York. New York.
How old is he now?
13 already.
Oh wow, that's a
big
it's
boy.
wild.
That's a challenging age.
Yeah.
That's when they're figuring out who they are.
Yes,
but
exactly.
We moved down here, and we're in search of a church home again. And my cousin mentioned potential, and we came here, and we found what we needed in that season of coming from New York and looking for community. And you know, I just want to tell you, this was a blessing. Finding this home, finding this community. And it came at a season where it was really needed. You know, Mateo was practically raised here. Jay and I grew so much in our faith here. So we found potential within like the first year or so when we moved down here.
Yeah. So you know, it's interesting how, you know, God always kind of knows where we're at and brings us what we need. And so did you come down here knowing, like, professionally what you were going to do, or did you?
Yes, that story is crazy also, actually. Oh my gosh, some of these crazy stories. How we moved down here. So an owner of a huge fitness franchise. I met a close associate of theirs. This was why I was working in the city. So this is the part about fitness, and when you first start, you still have to kind of maintain a regular job so before you build your clientele and business. So at that time, Jay was training mainly and taking care of Mateo. I was working in a hotel in Manhattan off 42nd Street, high-end hotel, and also would go home and train at night.
Yep.
So I would work in the morning as a bellman, a doorman.
6 to 2.
6 to 2,
6 a.m.
yeah,
to 2.
yeah. And then
And people have to remember that because that's the part they forget.
Yeah.
Right? They just see you today.
It doesn't just happen. No, yeah.
You probably have to even remind Mateo a little bit of that from time to time.
for
don't
sure,
you?
for sure. Yeah. But yeah, and how we got here is I met the owner of a big franchise now, a close friend of theirs. We just started talking. He said, I'm from Miami. I was like, oh, and I rarely met anyone from Miami being in New York. And long story short, South Florida, Miami is a small community. And we just started talking and he was like, oh yeah, my friend here at the fitness is now. My friend is looking for a manager. They're about to open a studio in South Florida and on South Beach. And I said, oh yeah, really, this and that. And Jay was more into it at that point than I was. And I said, oh, you have to meet my wife. So, and I mean, and I'm so proud of her. I'm always really just.
Thank you.
I'm always, because I know her strength, her abilities, and her power, just the things she has gone through in her life that many don't know unless you get really close to her. She has overcome a lot. And, but I thought of her, I was like, because her personality, her people personality, she's just always cheery. She's opposite of me. I think that's why God sent her into my life, because I grew up not always smiling. I was always, I don't know, I was always just kind of not a person who was just full of joy naturally, but she's just a walking, sometimes bumble of joy, and she just has that spirit. So I said, you should meet my wife. And the next day.
Let's make sure I understand right. So basically you're telling us you found your wife a job.
Yeah, yes, I did, yeah, basically. With the potential of moving back home. So maybe I had moving back home in the back of my head. But it's also because we were thinking of having a second child. And New York City is a tough city to have two kids. And we said, if we were to have a second child, would you consider moving back home? And that's how that all
it all
connected.
Happened at the same time.
Yeah, it's all God. It really is. Now we look back at it. It's so crazy.
So you came down to take that position?
To take that position, yeah. On South Beach. And she was there. And I tried to work with that position. It didn't work out with me as much, but it worked out with her. And
immediately he met Manning Sumner.
I met Manning Sumner, the owner of Legacy Fit Now, and who we run one of his locations for right now. We're the studio managers and operators I've been 10 years now.
You've been since 2014.
14, yeah, almost 10 years. Yeah. And you're 8 years about,
and
right?
now, it was 2016.
So Manning saw us basically one day. He saw the two of us, and immediately he saw the connection of, these are two rock star couples fitness. I need them both. So he had that in his head. He never told us that, but he's like, oh no, you guys can't be in separate brands. You can't be in separate fitness brands. So the covert operation, we came together. And came for.
And that felt natural, of course, because that's what we do together.
We're one,
Now when you say studio, what is it? Fitness studio? What is that? It sounds very metropolitan.
So it's more the whole boutique studio trend that came about, I'd say, the past 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So it's more of a smaller space where it caters to 20, 30 people per class max. And you just come in and the workout's set for you. We tell you what to do and you get to leave and we get your results. So that was the trend that has became big and popular, boutique fitness studios back then.
So you guys manage and teach some while you're there as well?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
And then how many other teachers are there?
Just one for now,
we have one on staff. I'm the morning.
Yeah.
One on staff that does the closing and the midday. And then we have Ron who does like the early evening. And then we have a sub just in case we need one who's
someone
awesome.
breaks an ankle or something.
Things do happen. So y'all still putting in the...
We put in that work.
For sure.
But again, it's important. That's why it's so important to do what we're passionate about. Because it provides that opportunity.
Yeah.
You're not afraid to work hard because it's not just work.
Certainly.
You're coaching someone here, then you're cleaning a sink in 5 seconds later or a toilet. Like you want to put the work in. Yeah. It's your baby. It's your...
Now, how difficult is it for you? So you got one employee now, right? So, but depending on where things go in the future, do you think about bigger? You know what I mean?
Most certainly,
How hard then is it to give that baby over to
You
anybody?
have to. You have
With the right systems and right person, you feel like it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's can be challenging finding the right people at times to basically replicate you. So because I've heard recently, if your business can't continue without you, your business is no good. So if you can't not be replaced and your business still goes on, then you need a new business model. It can't live and die with you. As far as you need to be able to have someone there to step in, God forbid, something happens to Jay or I, and be able to keep it going.
Serve the people.
So, it is challenging, but the ideal is to grow into and pour into others and to make someone else tutor and mentor and
Tune them, mentor.
mentor them into what it takes and show them everything in and out of the fitness business, from the administrative people,
inventory,
cleaning,
taking care of your clients, coaching your clients,
follow-ups. It's a lot that goes into it. It's more than just working out and training, which a lot of people think that's all it is.
You're cleaning machines. You're doing all of those things.
For sure.
When we started the church in Little Rock, I was a trainer.
At the
gym in Little Rock. So I know what you're talking about. But so is the person that you have today the first person that you hired, or have you had others?
We've had others.
So what have you learned through that process? Because that's a big step in a lot of people's lives, is that first hire, and then if it's great, awesome, but sometimes people just don't work. It's not because they're necessarily evil people. No, it just doesn't work. And then going through that process again. So what's a couple of things you've learned going through that process?
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't assume they know what I mean. Don't assume they know I want this. Don't assume they know I want that. Don't assume that we should go the extra mile for this client. Show them. Yeah. Show through example, show through verbal communication, and just communicate. Yeah. And the other thing is seek to understand before being understood. Yeah. I want to know, there were many times that I'm like, I did not communicate that, or I did not say that. And of course this happened. I dropped the ball there. And so that was a big one. Seek to understand before being understood, and don't assume this person knows what I want.
Yes.
Those
are good.
Yeah, for sure. I would say it's learning that everyone is different and there are different ways to lead. And you can't do the same style of leading and training as you've done with everyone. Everyone is not able to just follow a template. So you have to get to learn the person. Why do you want to be in fitness? Is this something that you always thought of? So you're really listening, asking questions, asking really important questions, then listening and finding the root of someone's drive. What's your will? How long do you see yourself here? Is this something you want to do 10 years from now? How long are you willing to stay till you see progress? So it's really asking those specific questions and learning the individual.
Those are both, you think about, we tend to think people are just like us. You know what I mean? So when I say this and I mean this, well, of course you would know what I mean, because everybody knows, and then you find out we're all different. We have to be led different and communicated to differently.
It's true.
All right, we got time for just one more question.
Somebody's
out there and they're listening or they're watching and they're thinking, you know what? I need to take a little bit more seriousness about my health.
Yes.
What would you recommend them do? Do they need to read something? Do they need to join a gym? Go for a walk? What do they need to do?
Go ahead, you start. Go ahead.
Whoever is listening, this month we celebrated February Heart Health Month, and we focused a lot on pouring into our heart, our internal. So we eased into the morning, focused on decreasing stress. So for what I did learn was I had 2 conversations with 2 cardiologists and spent detailed conversation on how to properly care for our heart. So if somebody is interested in getting in fitness or starting this new journey, I would love for that person to know how much that heart does for us every single day, to be patient, to pour into yourself out of love, not out of critique, not out of comparison, to take it day by day, and to look at where they are, not as a place of shame, but as a place of, this is where I am. I'm just going to put one foot in front of the other, get into a group of, come to us, or go to a community where you're working with a licensed trainer, somebody that can help guide you, but from a place of love.
And if they want to get a hold of you guys, how can they get a hold of you guys?
Yes. Instagram. I'm Ron No Days Off.
JAI.faith, FAITH. And of course, we're Legacy Fit Pines.
All right. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate the insight and the wisdom when it comes to life, leadership, and love. And we appreciate that. Thank you guys for listening today. So glad that you decided to hang out with us. Want to encourage you, share the podcast with somebody. We're glad to have you at the Troy Gramling Podcast, and we'll see you next Thursday. God bless.